After Jesus was betrayed by his own disciple, he was arrested and taken to the high priest. It was during this time that his own disciple, Peter, had denied Jesus 3 times, whilst Judas, the betrayer, tried to repent by confessing his sin to the priest. But they ignored his confession, and a guilt-ridden Judas, who was consumed by remorse and pain, hung himself. Jesus was questioned by the governor. "Art thou the King of Jews?" To which he replied, "Thou sayest." He was then accused by the elders and the chief priests, but Jesus remained silent and did not answer to them. Pilate, however, found Jesus innocent, so he gave the crowd the choice between Barabbas, one of the most dangerous criminals, or Jesus, the one called Christ. But the people didn't choose Jesus. Instead, they set the dangerous criminal free. The crowd yelled, "Crucify him," as their decision was stirred by the priest, but they felt threatened by Jesus. They saw him as an enemy, as a blasphemer. They couldn't understand how this ordinary man was the Messiah. They didn't believe that he was the Son of God. But before he could be crucified, Jesus was publicly beaten with a leather whip. Tiny pieces of iron and bone chips were tied to the end of each whip, causing deep cuts and painful bruises on the Messiah. He was publicly humiliated and mocked. He was beaten and spat on. They had stripped him and placed a crown of thorns on his head. Beaten and bloodied, Jesus struggled to carry the heavy cross, and so Simon of Cyrene was forced to help him. Jesus was taken to a place called Golgotha. He was being nailed to the cross and offered a drink that was said to alleviate suffering, but he refused it. Huge, stake-like nails pierced his hands and ankles, and he hung on a cross next to 2 thieves, insulted, despised, and mocked, and a taunting inscription hung above his head which read, "The King of Jews." He hung on the cross for an agonizing 6 hours as people who were walking past continued to insult and mock him. As the day darkened, Jesus loudly cried out, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Soon after, Jesus gave up his spirit, and there was a great earthquake which ripped the temple veil in 2 from top to bottom. Tombs broke open, and the bodies of many holy people who died were raised to life. It was Joseph, one of his followers, who had buried Jesus.